Okay guys, I'm here today with Raryon Gracie, huge honor for me. Guys, for those who doesn't know him, he just won the world's open class as a brown belt and got his black belt from Raryon Gracie. He has been training with Raryon Gracie, and if you watch him competing, very similar to Roger, like amazing escapes, and when he falls on top, nobody can move. And he's already the Gracie with the best curriculum from blue belt to brown belt because he won the worlds on every belt. And as a purple, he won the double gold. And as a brown belt, he won the open class as a brown belt. And guys, if you watch him competing, it's very interesting because he kind of starts losing a lot of his matches, but he has amazing escapes, and then all of a sudden he gets on top and nobody can move anymore. So, Hiram, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And can you explain how you think about Jiu-Jitsu, which was incredible to hear when you explained to me, about like the submission escapes, position escapes, transitions, control. Can you explain that?
Yes, so I'm sharing with you guys how Jiu-Jitsu is pretty much taught on my family, right? And I agree completely, and that's the way that I teach my students. So whenever you get into a Jiu-Jitsu academy, you know, it's very easy to get dive into like submissions and crazy flashy moves that get a lot of likes on Instagram. But the truth is that the first thing that you want to do is not tap, right? That should be your main concern, not to tap. Because no matter how good your cross collar choke from the mount is, you'll never be able to get there. You never have a chance to do it if you can't pass your partner's guard safely, if you can't escape the side control safely, right? So, I mean, that's the first, that's the order, right? So, in my opinion, in my belief of how Jiu-Jitsu should be taught and learned, is first you learn how not to tap in any position, any submission, right? Not only not to tap, but how to prevent them and not expose yourself. And after no one can tap you, the second part is to escape safely. And safely because usually we're escaping, we expose our body a lot. Right, we focus too much on escaping, we leave gaps behind, which can be used against us. So once you cannot tap, you escape safely, so nobody can hold us in bad positions anymore. And after you escape safely, then it's the matter of control and transitions. So it's me escaping, and then going on to try and pass Bernardo's guard, getting the mount position, and making it so perfect that the person who's underneath cannot move, underneath or on top, in the case of the closed guard. Right? And the last one is the submission, right? So after I have mastered how not to tap, nobody can tap me in side control, mount, back, anything of that sort, close guard, right? Anywhere. Then I escape safely from those positions. So now nobody can hold me there. And then after this one, you control. So you start taking control of your partner, of your opponent, right? And you start controlling them so well that they cannot have any other option than having you finish them. And that's the last one. Right, but I like to do it in their order.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, and I love how you have like a whole system on your mind for each step. And guys, in this video here, Hiram just shot an entire structure all about side control escapes, which might be one of the most important subjects for anybody to understand, right? Because I think it's
the most common.
Is the most common.
Yeah, because you're playing guard, someone gets your side. Of course, you're going to be in side control a lot sooner than back, right? I mean, side control first. That's the first worst position that we find ourselves on by far. The side control comes before anything else. Yeah.
So guys, Hiram just shot an entire structure all about side control escapes, and today he's going to show us here one of the moves that I have seen him using a lot in tournaments, and it's incredible because the person is on top of him on the side control, and then all of a sudden he is on the person's back, and he get the choke from there. So can you share, Hiram?
Yes, for sure. This escape, right? The main thing that I wanna talk about before we get into it is the dynamic of the side control. So whenever we're and I'll show you, right? Whenever we're in the bottom and someone is on top of the side control, if I constantly try to escape and I'm bridging, and he will feel threatened, right? He feel threatened that I might escape, and he will change his focus from advancing onto the mount or advancing onto a submission, just keeping me here, right? So that's the last thing that I want. Of course, it's not impossible to escape then, but it becomes 10 times harder. So I want him to feel as comfortable as he can possibly feel. I want him not to feel that I'm constantly trying to escape, right? You see people, get their guard passed, and they're like this, reaching from one side to the other. that's not really gonna work for you to recover your guard. Just relax, you pass your guard, now it's time to slowly improve. So what I like to do here is to place my left hand on my partner's neck, right? And we'll see two variations. One where he has his hands locked like he is right now, and one where his hands are open, right? And the more relaxed he is, the more likely he is to have his hands unlocked. Now, my left hand is on Bernardo's neck, on the side of the neck. My right hand will be behind Bernardo's armpit, right here, actually more on the tricep, on the high part of the tricep, not near the elbow. And I place it right there, and not only I hold it, but I hold the cloth. I do not want to hold it over, because as I push him, as you see in a second, this will slide and I'll be exposing my elbow. I don't want that. So I'll hold the cloth right behind. So when I push, I'm pushing his actual arm. Now, as you look at my right foot, I'm going to position it inside Bernardo's knee line. So not past it, right inside. And now I'm going to take my left foot off the mat. I can use to push and slide, but you see his foot will come off as I slightly bridge. So the bridge that I do is not really a bridge. I'm not coming off the mat. It's more like a pivot. I'm pivoting my body to the left side. Now just 1 second here, just to show the movement that I do with my arms. This one does not move. This one doesn't extend. I just keep this flush to me and it moves with me. So I have to move my body. This doesn't extend. The power comes from not depending on a certain limb. It comes from you using your whole body to move one arm. If I use my arm against Bernardo, it's impossible for me to move him. But if I use my whole body to move him, that's more likely to happen, right? So this one, I extend slightly on the diagonal line. Not everything, but extend. And this one, I move with my body, right? So, and using my right foot, of course. So I'm here, left hand on the neck, right there. Now, boom, just like that. That's all I need. And you see, even though I moved him and I'm bothering him, this is not horrible. This is not the kind of position where he feels extremely triggered. And even if he does so, he has no option anymore. So now look how this gap was created. There's a gap here. Even if he's trying to flush it, still I can get my hand in between his tricep and my hip line, right underneath my belt. And that's the way they were gonna come out. So as I push him, I need to focus my attention on the two supports that I have. Previously I had three, right? Which are the hand on the neck, the foot on the mat, and the hand on his arm. Now I'll have to have them perfectly, two of them. The foot on the mat and the hand on the arm. Because I need to maintain his weight here for a few amount of seconds until I replace my hand position from his neck to inside underneath his armpit. And as I get my hand here, I'm going to face him and face him as quick as possible, using his momentum of trying to sit back on his heels to face and not spend any time, not waste any time laying flat on the mat, because that's where we have more friction. We're slower to move. So as I get my hand, he's trying to sit on his heels. I quickly turn my position, look at my legs, I bring myself downwards. Just like so. From here, my left knee will come over the right one and I'll place it right in between his legs. Now, when we're coming up, I see a lot of people do this, right? They open their elbow up to come up.
Yep.
And this is quite common, but the thing is, Bernardo, pull this slightly, just from here, yeah, just pull this. Look, it's very hard. And even if he doesn't pull, you just, yeah. It's hard for me to come up. Now, what I'll do is I'll touch the right side of my head on the mat, and I'm going to create a gap here between my rib cage and the mat. That's where my arm will come through. So I put my weight on the head, and I lift myself using my feet. Now look, and then I push myself upwards. Now what we're doing here is seeing what's the easiest way to come on top, right? How can you make the move so simple using your whole body? You see that every move that I try to do, I try to use my whole body to move Bernardo, not just my arm or my hand, you know, and always find the way to the back.
No, and I love it how every single detail is very well calculated. That's kind of how I feel like. Because even when you bring the arm in, I have never seen anybody doing that, and then you turn sideways, you find a way to get that little underhook, and then when you get on top, you trap my foot with your knee. So there's so many like, you know,
everything has to be precise. I mean, the more unnecessary moves that I do, the more energy I'm wasting, right? And the reason why I like to teach moves that I do in competitions, because in competition I cannot. There's no room for error. Whoever makes more errors will lose, right? The other person will take the advantage. And not only that, I mean, you're gonna get tired, right? Especially nowadays. I mean, those guys have an insane cardio. They never get tired, right? So I have to literally tire them out. They cannot make any. I don't have room for mistakes, right? I'm not super strong. I mean, most of the guys, if not all guys I compete against, are a lot stronger than I am. So I have to focus on the technique. Everything has to be precise, calculated, and nothing can be unnecessary.
No, and I love it because a lot of our customers are older people.
Yeah.
And they have the same concern. They cannot spend too much energy because they get tired faster than the younger person.
And the thing is, right, and we talked about this the other day, is when I was taught, right, jiu-jitsu, I knew very young that I could not, I mean, I would train jiu-jitsu my whole life, right? I started since I was born, or there was a gi waiting for me. I came out of the womb. And I knew that I would be training jiu-jitsu until like very old age. And the thing is, when you have that, like, you know, for me it's not a choice. I'm going to do it. I was faced with a problem that some people in my family had happened to them, and they made me very aware about it, and now I'm making you guys aware, is not to learn jiu-jitsu twice. And what I mean by that, when you start training, you know, even if you're 40, 50s, or sometimes younger, right, you still have some agility, you still have some mobility, some cardio, you can train hard, right? You can use that strength that you got and give it all, you know, into the mat. Now, as you start to get older, you start to lose your flexibility, you start to lose your agility, and you can't train as hard, and you cannot depend on your physical attributes, right? So then you have to adapt your jiu-jitsu so much that you pretty much wasted a lot of time in moves that had a time date, had a expiration date, right? So I don't focus on moves that have an expiration date. I focus on moves that will last I like to call it timeless technique. I mean, you last your whole life pretty much. So what happens then is that you started training in a move, and then as you get older, you don't have to stop it. You just keep going, right?
Yep.
So me young, I do moves that I want to do when I'm 80. Right?
Yeah. And some people rely so much on physical attributes that when they get old, they have to pretty much relearn jiu-jitsu.
That's the thing. I mean, you pretty much have to retire. You see a lot of times, people who like just focus on technique, on strength. You know, like for example, you see like Roger, right, training, or even Hicks and Kida. They're able to train like, you know, fun and have fun at the match. When you only rely on strength, I mean, it literally has an expiration date. You depend on strength, right?
No,
it's a big difference, yeah.
No, I fully agree. And guys, if you watch him competing, you're gonna notice that many times he starts losing, but he trusts so much on his escapes that he knows that soon or later he's gonna have his opportunity, and then when he falls on top, the match is done and the guy on board can't move. So this entire structure is all about side control escapes, which is probably the most popular position that you're gonna find yourself stuck. And make sure to learn from him. He's an amazing instructor, and he's gonna be probably the name that you're gonna hear the most in the next few years. So his instructor is gonna be at IBJJFanatics.com. Maybe by the time you're watching, it's already there. So make sure to check that out. And thanks so much.
Thank you, Bernardo. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hope you guys enjoy.
Please help me out to grow my YouTube channel. Just click subscribe. And to watch more videos, just click under see more videos. I hope you enjoyed.
IBJJFanatics.com. Use the promo code YouTubeFaria to get 10% off any instructional video. Improve your jiu-jitsu faster.